The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems. Welcome to the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli at the legendary Spa Francorchamps. For the last 15 years, the tradition here has been to start all the cars on one grid, which means a field of more than 50 on the 7-kilometre circuit in the Belgian Ardennes. This time out, we'll focus on the two GT classes, SuperGT and GTB. The first racing weekend was at Zolder and there were no Ferraris, but here in the second round of the championship there are no less than 3 waiting to head out into qualifying, including last year's GT champion Patrick van Glabeke, number 158, and Martin Lanting, who returns with his 458 GT2. With only 30 minutes of qualifying and more than 50 cars on track, finding a clear lap will often be decisive for getting pole, but it's not always so simple. Super GT Championship leaders Nicolas van Durendonck and Jeffrey van Hooydonk seem to have few problems with their Corvette C6R GT2 car. With a 2-minute 18.9, they've got pole for most of qualifying, so Jeffrey decides not to go out again. The first point of the weekend looks to be in the bag. Then Kelvin Snooks springs a surprise. In his first time out in the Team Raceart SRT Viper, sharing with Roger Graals, the Race 1 winner in Zolder, Snooks claims pole by 4 tenths ahead of the Corvette.
Ik had 1 vrije ronde, maar de banden waren nog niet echt genoeg op tempo.
I had 1 clear lap early on, but the tyres weren't up to temperature, he says. On the second lap I got traffic, so I thought I'd come in, let Roger do some laps on new tyres. I saw a few guys beat our time, but I had a lap left. Everything was perfect, managed to get pole, so I'm very happy. The Supercar racing team will also be very happy with their second place in qualifying. They had to change the engine in the car on Friday, worked very hard on the setup to have their Corvette perfect for both pro driver Jeffrey van Hooydonk and gentleman Nicolas van Durendonck.
Ja, het remmen is onze sterkste kracht. En natuurlijk ook de G-kracht.
Well, the car's brakes are its strong point, says Jeffrey. Of course, the G-force is in the corner, the downforce is amazing. But for Nicolas, it's not an easy car to drive. He was very quick at Zolder, but he hasn't got enough experience here at Spa or mileage with the Corvette to be right on the limit. So the race is going to be pretty difficult. I think today it's all about finishing. I'm not even thinking about a podium. That would be the absolute maximum, really. Henry Tumbrink won the second race in Zolder, and last year at Spa he had pole for both races. But with engine problems in Friday's free practice, the Davitech engineering team had to work overtime to ready the S60 V8 for qualifying. Third fastest in the Volvo was a good reward for their efforts.
Ja, nou, ik had al verwacht dat ik niet de pole zou pakken
I
eigenlijk.
didn't expect to be on pole, he said. The cars that are first and second theoretically are much better, so they should be quicker anyway. Our top speed here isn't as good, and that's really what you need at Spa. But looking at the consistent lap times I managed to do, we're very happy with third. Later we'll catch up with Sunday's action, but first here's the highs and lows from Saturday. The sun's shining, the field's ready after a single warm-up lap for race 1, 60 minutes plus a lap. On board here with Max Cobalt, debuting in the second Davitech Engineering Volvo this year. He starts 11th. Patrick Glabeke's Ferrari is on the left. The Renault RS01 of Jürgen Smet on the right. Both are guest drivers. In front of them's a gap where Noel Kohler should have started in his Phantom SF11, but he's in the pit lane with mechanical problems, and immediately Glabeke breaks formation to dive into the gap. Closing up on Berry van Elk in the blue Mosler, even as the red lights go off. It's a bit of a messy start. They're fanning out down the straight and heading into La Source. Can't turn in, there's someone there. It's Van Glabeke back in front in that Ferrari. But look at the V8 power. Wow, this Volvo flies down the straight. The Corvette right in front. Nicolas van Durendonck has lost several places. Tucking down into Eau Rouge. And then getting on the gas nice and early, climbing out. Here we go, out to Redion and up onto the Kemmel straight. Little bit of a lateral slipstream here, helping to tow the Volvo. Van Durendonck closes the door on the outside, but there's still more momentum. Cobalt just breezes by there with that slingshot effect into the braking area at Les Combes, and he's through. In 5th now, that's Martin Lanting's Ferrari just in front. That was a great start to the race for the Volvo driver. Most impressive. Big gap for the Viper of Kelvin Snooks. Henry Zumbrink holding off Niels Bohaus and the BMW. But after the pit stops, having dropped back to third, he moves back up to second place until lap 17, that is. And then the engine cuts and he is out just before 75% race distance. So he won't be classified and gets no points. Bad news for the second place man in the championship coming to Spa. Long run of bad luck, he says. Speed's definitely good, but I was having a perfect race and unfortunately the engine then let go. Bad news for him could be good news for Corvette drivers Jeffrey van Hooijdonk and Nicolas van Dierendonck. They could extend their championship lead if they do well here in race 1. Van Dierendonck is also racing in the Benelux Porsche Cup and he's been charging up the road from Zolder to Spa to do the main race, but he hasn't got the edge to compete in Super GT. He drops back to 9th before the pit stops. So Van Hooijdonk has his work cut out for him as he takes over the 2010 Le Mans 24-hour factory Corvette. He moves up to third place in the final laps of the race. A great effort. Well, all this is way behind the leaders, Roger Graus and Kevin Snooks, out front setting the pace and taking their second win of the season ahead of Martin Lanting. Expectations were high, says Roger. Everything seemed to be in our favour. Kelvin proved in qualifying the car spot on. He's fast too, of course. He was on the limit, brought the car in with a big lead, and all I had to do was finish the race and make no mistakes. And that's what I did. So a superb result for us. On Sunday, there's beautiful weather again and a huge relief for Henry Zumbrink because Davy Tech Engineering pulled an all-nighter to fit another new engine. So he's ready for the second race of the weekend. Nicolas van Dierendonck is also ready, again having had to rush from Zolder to Spa to get to the Corvette in time. Jeffrey van Hooijdonk was ready to take the first stint, but Celislac Racing wants Nicolas to start the race so he gets the most out of the new Pirellis. And this time he'll start from pole. For the first race, pole was snatched away by Kelvin Snooks, but it's the second fastest time in qualifying that determines Sunday's starting grid, and now they'll start with the inside line for the infamous hairpin at La Source. Lining up second, the Team Race Art Viper GT3R. Roger Graus will start this time. And in third place is Zumbrink. He won both Spa Euroraces last year but was left empty-handed after Saturday's first encounter. Henry dropped from second to sixth in the championship, so there's plenty of work to do. Niels Bohaus will again start from fourth, and Jan Storm will take over the BMW during the pit stops. Here we go then, rolling away for the formation lap. Race 2 at Spa Francorchamps for Super GT and GTB. Beautiful weather once more for the start of Sunday's action. Looking back from Martin Lanting's Ferrari to Patrick van Glabaker's Ferrari. On the right of your picture, Barry van Elk in the Mosler, and in front, Henry Zumbrink in the blue car, Niels Bohaus on the left-hand side of your screen. As Nicolas van Dierendonck paces the field with Roger Graus looking threatening in the Viper. It's the two American muscle cars at the front, Corvette on pole, Viper alongside as the lights stay on. Long hold here, closing up the grid on the rush down to La Source. Henry Zumbrink in front, dives to the inside, look at the Viper closest to us. Around the outside goes Roger Graus to take the lead into La Source. Battle on for second in front of us. Henry Zumbrink on the right. On the left is Niels Bohaus. In the centre is the Corvette. And Van Dierendonck just has a little dab on the brakes there as Zumbrink goes through to second. Bohaus third. Look at the blue car up to fourth place. That's an incredible start for Max Cobalt. Up from 13th place on the grid, and Martin Lanting goes into fifth. Down goes Van Dierendonck. Here comes the next Ferrari. That's Patrick van Glabaker. He goes by. Barry van Elk behind in the Mosler has also got a good run. Same motor as the Corvette in front of him. It's just behind in the Mosler. Well, wholesale changes, and Van Dierendonck in all sorts of trouble here. Just holds off Barry van Elk into Les Combes. But the Corvette is down to 7th place from pole in 3 turns, and Barry van Elk looks like he's coming hard. Roger Graus, Henry Zumbrink, Niels Bohaus, Max Cobalt, then the 2 Ferraris, Martin Lanting, Patrick van Glabaker, then Van Dierendonck. Barry van Elk is all over the back of him at the moment. Van Dierendonck with those brand new Pirelli tyres, but don't forget, dashing over from Zolder where he's racing the Porsche. This is a very different track, a very different car, that Corvette. Really needs a lot to get the best out of it. And Barry van Elk settled in his Mosler. Racing this car for several years, knows it intimately. And here he comes, he's closing on Nicolas van Dierendonck. He's going to try and put the move in here. Down towards Fania, Puf Paf, he goes around the outside, now it goes left, he's on the inside, and he's up to 7th place. That's a ballsy move, but he had the grip there to take the position and to carry it off. Horsepower always works well here at Spa. Roger Graals and Henry Zumbrück with their big V8s pulling away from Niels Bohaus. 4th place Max Cobalt, another V8, then Martin Lanting in 5th. Patrick van Gladbeke, the 2nd Ferrari, Barry van Elk right with him. Little lock up there as Manuel Cintrano gets squirrely at the bus stop in the Mosler. He's in 10th place. Leaders into Eau Rouge, nose to tail. Roger Graals in the Viper, Henry Zumbrück in the Volvo. Then the BMW on its own. Niels Bohaus ahead of the blue car, Max Cobalt, Martin Lanting. Patrick van Gladbeke under pressure now from Barry van Elk in the Mosler. And here's where that big Corvette V8 overcomes the 458 Ferrari's V8. Uses the slipstream to go round. No change at the front. Graals just in front of Zumbrück, but this is all arms and elbows, really leaning on the tyres early in the race. Niels Bohaus spins at Les Combes. Well, the BMW with a speed disadvantage here that's well documented, pushing really hard, but has to lift in the middle of the corner. Tyres won't like that, but luckily no major impact. Through though, who's got the blue Volvo? So Max Cobalt under pressure now as Niels Bohaus tries to retake the place. And what it loses in straight line speed, the aerodynamics on this BMW means that it's got great cornering ability, better even than the Volvo. See, he's holding a tighter line, and you can just see Cobalt's car stepping around and writhing at the back. Down towards Fania, Cobalt on the inside. BMW's going to sit there, is he? Yes, he is. There's grip there. Looking over from the Volvo driver, and through goes Niels Bohaus. Fantastic action. After the break, can Roger Graals hold on, or will Henry Zumbrück finally get into some good luck? Also, we'll look at the action in the GTB class. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntix Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS High Definition Surveillance Systems. Welcome back to Spa Francorchamps. It's round 2 of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're looking at the SuperGT and GTB action. Roger Graals in the Race Art Viper holds the lead, but Henry Zumbrück is hot on his heels in race 2. Co-driver Kelvin Snooks watching the action as Roger Graals sets the fastest lap of the race, but also picks up a warning for exceeding track limits, crossing the white lines at Raidillon. If he does it 3 times, it'll be a drive-through. Henry Zumbrück all over the back of him, but Graals holding the lead in traffic here on lap 9. Trying to get around the BMW, and that holds him up a little on the straight. Henry Zumbrück with a run up behind him, only ever inches behind the Viper, and down into La Source. Well, the Viper getting in a little too deep. Zumbrück with a very good run here. This is a great opportunity to try and take the lead. He's down, squeezing inside by the pit wall. That's how he took second on lap 1, and now he grabs the lead. And the timing couldn't be better. Safety car is scrambled on the same lap, and the pit window is open as well, so maybe his luck is finally changing. Roger Graals has been handed a drive-through penalty as well for exceeding track limits. He decides to do it immediately when he comes into the pit lane. Well, I'm not sure that's the right option, and Kelvin Snooks isn't either, but the die has been cast. And that hands the chance to Henry Zumbrück to take the lead with 0 result seconds. But he pulls out despite the team trying to stop it, and there's a big bang. Patrick van Gladbeke was turning his Ferrari into the stall right in front. There's contact, and Zumbrück is out of the race again.
Ja, een stukje communicatie. Alleen die Ferrari draaide ook heel kort in. Dus eigenlijk ja, net langs.
Was a communication error, he said. The Ferrari turned in very sharply right in front of my car. I was just moving forward at the same time. Happened in a heartbeat, and we collided. Steering rod broke, and that was the end of my race. Spa's an amazing track, but not for me, unfortunately. These things happen, says Patrick van Glabeke. Henry's not to blame for the unsafe release. It's a team call, happens in the blink of an eye. Luckily, I managed to finish the race without too many problems, apart from some minor but expensive damage. Shame Henry was out, but that's the way it is after a collision like that. Henk Takes also with damage, driving around in his Radical RXC V8. He drops to 9th in Super GT. In the safety car period, the field slowed suddenly, and Bob Herber in the AMG Mercedes failed to spot it, smashing into the Radical. Taste continues, but Bob Herber out of the race. Jürgen Smet bringing the brand new Renault into the pits in 9th. They were given an extra minute pit stop because of the RS01's potential, but with the safety car out, they lost no time. Jose Manuel Perez now leads the race. Paul Stoffel 7th in the blue Volvo, his first time out in the car. Noel Kohler in the black Phantom SF11 right behind. Another V8 machine back on track after 2 years of development, just ahead of Jan Storm. Storm making full use of the BMW's high downforce grip here. Slips up the inside into 8th position, and the Volvo not too far away either. The Z4's great handling is going to help him well. In the slipstream up the Kemmel Straight, attacking into Les Combes. All over the back of the blue Volvo. The BMW had grip to spare here, but it's the sheer horsepower of the S60 V8 that is going to be difficult to overcome. Down the hill again, the SF11 right behind the mean black machine, making its return to the tracks. And Jan Storm piling on the pressure once more. Little dab of brakes on the Volvo mid-corner, and that allows the BMW to get alongside. The battle for 7th place well alive here, and the BMW still on the inside, dives through, grabs 7th place. It's a maiden win for Jose Manuel Perez in the RS01. Kevin Snooks right behind in the Viper, and technically actually he wins the race with Roger Graus because the RS01 drivers are guests. Barry van Elk lost 2nd place near the end of Saturday's race, but now he claims 3rd on the road. Jeffrey van Hooydonk moving up to 4th, which, as he predicted, was the maximum they could do here at Spa. But Team Race Art again produces the best result.
Ja, zeker. Ondanks
Kevin Snook says we lost our lead to the others during the safety car, and with that drive-through, this was the best we could do, really. I was chasing the Renault, but with the cornering speed of that car, it's impossible to attack. I managed to set the fastest lap among our championship contenders. That's an extra point for us, and we take maximum points because the winners are guest drivers, so the best we could possibly do. Henry Tombring drops down to 7th position after the 2nd race weekend as Roger Graus and Kelvin Snooks move from 6th to 2nd. Barry van Elk still 3rd, and our Corvette duo the points leaders. Let's catch up now with the GTB class, where Belgians Patrick Lamster and Chris Coles with the EMG Motorsport Porsche have a 1-point championship lead. Englishman Simon Atkinson's Backdraft Motorsport Lamborghini Gallardo shares 2nd place in the championship, with Dutchmen Ferdinand Kool and rookie Milan Dontje driving the Corvette C6. They won the 2nd race at Zolder, but here they're only 7th in qualifying. Nevertheless, they still have high hopes for the 2 60-minute encounters at Spa. Milan says, I don't think we're doing a bad job. The other cars have much better top speed. We didn't really have a clean lap either, so I think top 3 is possible for sure, but we have a few things that we need to do to improve to be competitive. Pole for the first race of the weekend surprisingly went to Roland de Waart, who hasn't raced for 5 years. He's now in a Radical RXC with a 3.5 litre Ford EcoBoost V6. After a number of technical problems at Zolder, Ford's European sales chief is fastest in qualifying at Spa.
Het werd een beetje vochtig.
The track was getting a little bit damp towards the end, he said, which caught out a few other guys in my class, I think. Wasn't really clear what the best choice was, but I stuck to my plan. The last lap, I even managed to shave off a couple of seconds, and that was just enough to take pole. Fantastic result for me. In the first race of the weekend, Roland de Waart isn't able to benefit from pole. He drops back to 6th place. Australian guest driver Jake Camilleri with his V8 Mazda ends up winning. 2nd place goes to Milan Dontje and Ferdinand Kool, who score maximum points and become the new GTB championship leaders after a fantastic run through the field. We knew it wouldn't be a walk in the park, says Ferdinand. The Corvette doesn't have the best top-end speed. Milan had to push hard. He moved from 8th to 4th and closed on the leading pack. And that was our main goal because we had 15 result seconds. I came back out in 6th. I was about 20 seconds behind. Just like old times, managed to squeeze out some of the talents I used to have, sliced through the field. Just a second behind the leader at the end. We're happy with second nonetheless. Saturday's race winner Jake Camilleri starts race 2 from pole in the white and black Mazda V8 right in the middle of your shot. He leads into La Source, Porsche Patrick Lamster, AMG Mercedes of Bob Herber, then Simon Atkinson, Roland de Vaart behind. Frederick Jonker and Vaart Slicer in 6th, but passed by Milan Doncha out of La Source. The straight 6 of the BMW, no match for the V8 of the Corvette. Change for the lead too. Patrick Lamster's black and white Porsche leads from Jake Camilleri. Orange and black Lambo third ahead of Bob Herber's Mercedes. Roland de Vaart in 5th. Lecombe on board with Milan Doncha. Dives inside Louis-Philippe Sernan's Ferrari. Contact and into the gravel trap. Race control decide no penalty. Simon Atkinson moves up to 2nd in the Lamborghini. Bob Herbert to 3rd as Jake Camilleri slumps down the order. The Mazda that was on pole being passed left, right and centre. On board with championship leader Patrick Lamster, under attack from Simon Atkinson, who had problems with the Lamborghini in race 1. He and Bob Herbert both go through, as does Carlo Kaya. He's in Super GT though. At the bus stop, Milan Doncha moves up to 5th in the Corvette. Dan Meyer up to 7th in his Porsche GT3 ahead of the BMW of Frederick Jonker. Meyer makes great progress through the field, but out front and with a comfortable lead, the Lamborghini Gallardo, Simon Atkinson. As Patrick Lamster slumps down the orders with Dan Meyer's up in 2nd. Milan Doncha trying to grab 3rd from Bob Herbert at the bus stop. The AMG Mercedes right in front, dives to the inside. Herbert holds on though, goes outside and inside. Nearly got boxed out by that Radical. Well, right with them is the white and black Mazda that started on pole, Jake Camilleri. And as the Corvette dives to the inside, Bob Herbert hangs on too long. Little contact, drifts out wide, spins up the tyres. Through goes Camilleri. And right behind them, Roland de Vaart in the white Radical in 5th place. But Milan Doncha's 2nd spot is under pressure now from the Mazda, with Bob Herbert right behind. Up the Kemmel Straight, giving away a slipstream. Milan Doncha sees the Mazda just go streaming past on the inside and into the braking area. He can't do anything about it. He's back down to 3rd. And Jake Camilleri up into 2nd with Bob Herbert in close attendance. Well, how is this battle going to work itself out? One thing's for certain, it's allowing Simon Atkinson to pull away out front. The Mazda hanging on to 2nd place. Herbert goes down the inside. Late lunge from the Mercedes, spins the Corvette, and there's trouble because, yes, Roland de Vaart in the Radical couldn't avoid it. We'll take a look again from on board, trying to go around the outside of the Mazda, clipped by the Mercedes, and here comes the Radical. A slow motion crash damages both cars heavily.
Dan heb je de U-bocht eigenlijk dat je naar beneden gaat.
Into the downhill right-hander, says our championship leader. I stayed on the outside and that's when Bob Herbert bumped into me. Shame really, everything was going great. I could have carried on, but then the Radical smashed into me and really that was game over. So, well, let's be fair, it was just a racing incident, so we'll keep fighting for the title. We're not going to change our game plan, we'll just compete the same way as we have been. Everything seems to be going Simon Atkinson's way as he heads towards his first race win of the season. With a perfect strategy during the safety car period, he's a lap ahead of his rivals. Just goes to show in motor racing you should never give up. After disappointment on Saturday with mechanical woes, he ends up on top of the pile on Sunday's 2nd race, comfortably ahead of the Porsche's poleman Jake Camilleri in 4th.
Yeah, very happy. Great race. The car's been going superb all weekend. We've managed to get the tyres sorted out, works with the Pirellis now. So yeah, it's really good weekend. Good weekend. Yesterday was a bit of a disappointment, but it was a really good fun race. Today was great race, great fun and good result. So doesn't get any better really. Yeah.
Championship leaders before the race, Milan Doncha and Ferdinand Kuhl drop back down to 4th position. Simon Atkinson remains in 2nd as Porsche drivers Lamster and Coles jump in front. They're now the points leaders as they were after round 1. And that's it from Spa Francorchamps. The GT divisions will be back in action in Belgium for the 3rd round of the championship and the Cintiq Super Prix at Zolder. Next week we'll return with a full report on Supersport and Sport divisions, and the following week all the races from Zolder. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Cintiq's innovative lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, and IDIS high-definition surveillance systems.